So it's a few days since Abingdon Marathon. I am walking the route that I regularly run on, just stretching out my legs. And as you know, I got a PB, so I'm very happy with that. It means I can officially compete in the para-athlete category for the marathon majors, which is exciting. Although I'm not sure what's next. I've got a call with my coach in a few days, so we'll see where that leads to. But yeah, just gonna go through my thoughts on the race, the lead up to it, and my reflections as I'm on this walk. So overall, training went really well. If you remember, back in the summer I came off some long-term medication and the heat had an impact, and I thought it was going to go downhill from there. But once I sort of got over that and adjusted to that, training went brilliantly. I think overall I only missed 2 or 3 sessions, and I only had a couple that went badly. I think increasing my mileage helped. I averaged sort of over 100k a week in this training block, getting up to some really high mileage, and my body handled that well. I didn't feel as tired. I was eating and drinking lots more water and sleeping, so all of that went really well. And I introduced marathon pacing much quicker on my long runs, so I'd always do the park runs and then some more at marathon pace, if not quicker, and I think that helped. So yeah, I took a lot from my training that my body can withstand higher mileage, and I actually really enjoyed it. So yeah, training went perfectly, so I couldn't really ask for better. Other things that went really well was fueling. I'm always worried about my stomach. Race day always seems to have an impact, so I started fueling or practicing fueling very early on, and before the race I started carb loading sort of from the Wednesday and really increased my food intake. Mostly of that was carbs. That was plain white pasta, plain white bread, sort of easy carbs, lots of sweets because I love sweets, and yeah, that really helped. I had no stomach issues during the marathon, and I didn't boink at all. I took on mostly the precision chews at the first half bit, for the first 21k, and then moved on to my drink and fuel combination mix that I had created, and yeah, no stomach issues during or after. So food, fueling, both went really well. So it's always easier to talk about what could have been improved, sort of what went wrong, and I'll start with rest days. I rarely take rest days. On my plans after an intense session or a long run is normally a very easy 5k, but in the lead up to the marathon, so the last week of the taper, I took 2 rest days, one of those being on the Saturday before the Sunday of the marathon, and I think I really felt that my body is just used to movement, and isn't very good with rest. So I would potentially take out one of those days of rest, especially the Saturday before, or just have no rest days again, keep my body moving and just do some very slow, easy runs. They're doing some work along the canal, so I've just gone down some steps, and it's funny how you get thrown as soon as you're off your sort of route in your head. It's one of the issues about being blind. You can get very disorientated very quickly, but I think I know where I am. If not, I'll just turn back on myself. Anyway, so back to things that could have been improved. I decided to get a sports massage. first one ever, and he was just going to focus on my legs, which would have been fine, but I had that little niggle in my back, so I got him to do some work on it, and it turned out to be my glutes. And a couple of days before the massage it was fine, but as soon as he did the massage, it really hurt, and hurt for a good few days after, and then I really noticed it during the marathon. So I should have just ignored it, or not gotten the sports massage on that bit, but decided to do it. So next time I wouldn't do that. Get the sports massage after. I have reorientated myself and I'm back on familiar ground. I'm sure you'll recognise it. It's by the old railway line. So the next thing I would have changed is shoes. So in one of my prep videos I was talking about whether to go for the Sauconys or the Asics, and I chose wrong. I chose the Sauconys. I think they're really good for the shorter distances and possibly good until the half marathon mark, and after that they are just not for me. So I should have gone for the Asics, so that's something that I would also instantly change. But yeah, you only learn about these things after making the mistakes, so that would be another thing that I would change. Talking about the race itself, it was a tough race. So another mistake I made was I didn't warm up. I should have warmed up, but I thought it's a marathon, there's plenty of time to warm up at the start, and yeah, that was a big mistake. So we started off, and within the first 500 meters my shin splints, my tendons, whatever it is, oh, just tripping there, made a recurrence. Haven't had an issue for months, but I think the additional rest days and the not warming up just caused them to flare up again. And they lasted for the first 10k. We literally just passed sort of the 10k marker and they went, and I thought, oh, I'm starting to feel good, but I was just scared. I didn't want to pick up the speed just in case they flared up again, and I thought, you know what, let's conserve energy till halfway and then go from there. So we reached halfway, and I thought, you know what, another half marathon seems like quite the long distance. Let's not do anything drastic now. Let's just play it safe and see how we feel at 25k. And again, I should have just gone for it regardless, because yeah, once it got to 25k, that's when I started feeling my back, and yeah, it just progressed sort of worse and worse from there. The pain intensified every few k, and it got to a point where I was really struggling to feel anything below my waist other than pain, which was a new experience, and to feel that for another 21k, yeah, was tough. But it was funny, because I was just saying, well, it's been hurting for the past k, you can last another k. Then it's been hurting for the last 2k, you can survive another 2k. And it was just, yeah, survival, and just enjoying the pain. But what was good was, despite the pain, my mind was clear, and yeah, there were no negative thoughts. I was still enjoying the race despite the pain, and I was just telling myself, yeah, it's a privilege and a joy to run. So I was very fortunate that despite the pain I could continue and didn't feel the need to stop. And then there was the course itself. It wasn't flat as advertised, but I feel like no course ever is. It's a loop, so when you get onto the second loop, it's a bit demoralizing that you have so long to go. And then there were lots of, I don't know what to call them, but barriers that you had to stop, go through, and then continue running, which is fine early on in the race. But once you're tired, the stopping, the being guided through it, and then restarting again is really challenging. And then at sort of mile 24 and a half, there's like a subway underground bypass thing, so you go down a hill, which is very painful at this point, and then you have to climb uphill, which is, yeah, really tough. I was sort of bent down, really feeling it at that point. So that's an interesting part of the course. And from a guiding perspective, there are some real difficult bits to guide on, some real narrow paths, several bushes and sticks. There had been a storm a couple of days before, which, you know, were easy to trip over. So quite the challenging course to guide on and to be guided on, and that just takes energy, so that's something else. But I definitely preferred it to London. It was country roads, it was quiet, not too many runners, and I could just enjoy the quietness and tune into my guide. It sounds like there were a lot more negatives, but it was just a massive learning experience. So despite getting a massive PB, getting part of the goals that I wanted to achieve, I learned a lot, and I feel really good about the learnings. It doesn't feel like it's a massive negative and it's weighing me down. I'm quite happy with the results, what I've learned, what I can take into my next races. And yeah, I'm just excited to see what the future holds. Like, today is day 3 since the race, and I'm already excited to run, and can't get back into it. Can't wait to get back into it. Whereas after London, I just didn't want to run again for ages and sort of experience that post-marathon blues. Whereas, yeah, I'm excited, raring to go, and can't wait for the future. It really is just such a joy and a privilege to be able to run, to have guides that will run and race with me. A big shout out to Ben for guiding, and all the guides that have accompanied me in the block, and to Gary, my coach, and to Jen, who accompanied me on this route for most of my long runs in this block on the bike, and yeah, getting me to the races and putting up with me being obsessed with running. Yeah, it's a real pleasure